Good afternoon, good evening, St. Louis, Kansas City, and around the world. We're going to lunch with guests who just come to Kansas City. I apologize. Guests who come to Kansas City today. My name is Aaron Fowlkes on the side. Today we have our special guest and also special host. While he's on the side, Michelle. Michelle, how you doing, girl?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Life is good, girl. Well, first of all, you in Kansas City, and I guess we coming in Kansas City. So what is going on in Kansas City?
Oh, we had an amazing week in Kansas City. One of the biggest events we had was the celebration of the Chiefs winning, and we had a giant parade.
Okay. Now, what were you celebrating?
Oh, we were celebrating the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl.
Oh, tell us about that, okay. Now, how did that feel, okay, in Kansas City? You guys were watching that, did that take place? How did that make you? How were you?
The game was a nail biter. I tell you that much. It was an excellent game. Everyone was on like eggshells here. But at the end, the Chiefs prevailed. They were playing against the Eagles, and midway in the game, Patrick Mahomes hurt his ankle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was right at the end of the second quarter there. Yeah.
That's when a lot of people around here was like, no. You could just hear everyone just like, no, not Pat.
Not now. You know, Cheyenne. This is our personal opinion, okay?
Mm-hmm.
What I think what that did, okay, and I know what it did to me as, oh my God, and I think that the Eagles, they may have got psyched out also, okay, so, no, we got them now, okay? Packers down,
Yeah.
And I think that's possible. They was, after the second half, they came out, the Chiefs was on fire, and they like disappeared. they weren't as aggressive. They weren't. And I'm glad they weren't aggressive. Don't get me wrong, because the Chiefs that came. Now those are Chiefs that we expected to see in the first half, but we showed up in the second half, and it was just unbelievable. I don't lie to you.
Absolutely, that's how I felt exactly. It was amazing game.
Well, what it does, it gives us here in Kansas City and Louis and around the state of Missouri bragging rights for another whole year.
Absolutely. And people across the country were talking so bad about the Chiefs.
I didn't understand that, Cheyenne. I mean, especially after Patrick had just won his second NFL Player of the Year award, most valuable player of the league, and they won against him. And also, he was also they were the number one offensive team in football.
Mm-hmm.
They all won against him.
I have no reason. Maybe the reason why they were hating might have been because, nowadays sports betting is legal. Mm-hmm. And they might have bet on the Eagles.
Okay, I tell you what, Scott, we were joined here by our general manager, engineer, Marlon Washer. Well, Scott, you grew up in the Midwest of St. Louis, okay? But you
no, I did not. I did not grow up in the Midwest. Scott did not. Scott grew up in New York.
Okay, Scott. Okay. Here we go. You're an East Coast man.
Yeah.
Well, why is it that most of the baseball, football world, sports world, they are all for the East or West Coast team, not people in the Middle West? Why is that?
Oh, the West Coast just has more people, and you're gonna have haters of anything. I mean, but they just have louder voices because there are more of them.
Well, yeah, because that was the first time in the memory that I can recall, Cheyenne, and I've been watching this Super Bowl for a long time, that the pregame commentators all went against the Chiefs. I mean, and you could tell in the bias in the announcer's voice the whole game. But you know something, Cheyenne? When he came down there to that last couple of minutes,
that last second.
wait, really. When the young man did not go to the end zone, because the Eagles was giving him a touchdown, they wanted him to score so badly. Then they would have got the ball back.
Mm-hmm.
And that was classic football there. Okay, that he said he could have scored a touchdown and been all famous and stuff, but the fact that he was a team player and said no. Up to the 2-yard line, and then allowed the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a lesson there, okay, in the Chiefs' proof there. You don't have to win by 12 or 7, 8 points. There's only 2 points or 3 points. It's a difference. That's all you need to win.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And that's what it took. Now, also, saying, we also have another special guest today that's joining us here. Okay, you want to introduce your guest?
Yes. We have another guest. Her name is Candace Price, and she is from Kansas City, Missouri.
And she's
also my mother.
Okay. But Candace Price, welcome to the program. How you doing, Candace?
Hello. Good afternoon. It's nice to be here. And yes, I am Cheyenne Hubbard's mother, and I'm also the CEO of Urban American Outdoors TV show. And also I have the nonprofit Soda, Saving Our Daughters and Sons' Life. And I'm just really pleased to be able to be on today.
Okay, being a lifelong person in Kansas City, tell us about what's going on in Kansas City. Well, we know about the Super Bowl and what's going on there. What else is going on in Kansas this week?
Well, wait a minute. The Super Bowl was fantastic. So, I had to give my shout out to our Kansas City Chiefs, who actually, you had this fantastic quarterback who was injured and was able to do what he does on that field, because they kept talking about the other gentleman on the Eagles team, Jalen Hurd, how great he was. And he was fantastic. I really like him, and he's cute too. Really nice looking young man. And I was like, but we had historical, we're in Black History Month, and so we had 2 black quarterbacks for the first time in history playing against each other. That was historic. In history.
Yeah, that's Black history by itself.
That's Black history, and a lot of people try to, kind of downplay it a little bit. I said, but this is huge history, and we're talking about the NFL, and they have a lot of problems working on their diversity. Even though 70 to 80% of their team is made up of black men, they have to do better. You need you need coaches, you need coordinators, you need to go ahead and really do their thing. So it was very historic. We were pleased to see what took place on that field, and yes, they won. And there were people that was pushing back, talking about that holding call, but the guy was holding. He admitted it.
He came out and looked like a man.
Yeah. And then they play football. They play football management. You have the right to, kind of roll that time down. They all do it. I mean, it's been done to the Chiefs with Tom Brady and all of them forever. Right. Look, we've been a losing team for a long time, so we've seen all of this. And so when it happened to the Chiefs, people were really rallying up. No. I'm like, have you all not been watching football for the last, 50 years? Come on.
Well, you said 50 years, Cheyenne. I'm sorry, Kansas. One of the things, that you and I were talking the other day, and this was historical. There have been protests around the country about the Chiefs. The name of the Chiefs. Okay, it's kind of disgraceful to the Indians, Native Americans, and stuff. But that's not why. That's not who the Chiefs were named after. Tell us the history about that, please.
Well, they had Bartle. He was the big guy here. They called him, his nickname was Chief. Now, Cheyenne did a little bit more research on that, but the initial research I always had was that he was the mayor, Bartle, and he was a big shot. And when they brought the Chiefs, they were the Texans first, and then they came up. They negotiated, and he wanted to name them the Chiefs, because what they were saying is that was his nickname. My uncle's nickname was Chief, and he called everybody Chief, and it had nothing to do with Native American
no,
whatever. But
for years. One of the things, that you have to understand history again, that from time to time, they have names that are very symbolic of a man or somebody that's in charge. Hey, Chief, you the man. Like now, they can different they call people, nicknames they give people. And so the Chiefs were not named after the Native American Indians. You get that? And Mr. Lamar Hunt, who was the founder of the AFC, that was about that history.
Right.
Well, the AFC was created by Lamar Hunt. After he got the Chiefs, the Texans, to Kansas City, and they were playing in the NFL back in those days. They decided to divide the league up. Tell us about that.
Which part? Well, what I was going to say is that there were, with the Chiefs, they did have a lot of kind of inappropriate things that they were doing within the Chiefs. Initially, they had a man, every time they did a touchdown, he'd ride out on the horse, and he'd have his face painted, and he'd have the Indian, headdress on, which was really inappropriate. I used to cringe when I was little when I kind of saw that. And I'm like, I knew that didn't feel right. So they did have, and they removed that. They also they removed so much, and then they had the cheerleader ride the horse. So I think they've removed all of that. Now the thing that they're talking about now is that they feel a little that can be a little offensive is that chop, that tomahawk chop.
Yeah, tomahawk chop, right.
I never do the chop because I didn't feel right about doing it, and they had the song, that goes with that. So there are some things that they need to work out. But the Chiefs were nothing like when you had the name was nothing like the Redskins or the Braves or the Indians, Cleveland Indians, and all of that. So all of those are gone. And so now the target is, how do we get the Chiefs to do better? But they're working on, I think Donovan, is working on that, and they're going to talk. But it's kind of hard. These people have been doing this symbolism for a long time. And I noticed that in there in the stadium, they said they can't wear that war paint and they can't wear their headdress. So that's been eliminated. Similar to how NASCAR made them take the Confederate flag away. We requested that, and they started, like the Kansas Speedway, they can't come in there with their flag. When they first came around, it was all flagged out all over. But here in the state of Kansas, said you're not going to be able to do that. And I think the whole NASCAR is removing that. So some things have to be, Yeah, over. Go ahead, Sonny.
One of the things I want to say is that despite it didn't start with like the name Chieftains wasn't associated with Native American culture at first, right? Over time it became that, to the point where they couldn't really separate the two, or they would fight against them removing, don't take our chop away, even though it's offensive, where they had the stereotypical song that it just feels like a, what is the word? Caricature? What?
Yeah.
Caricature.
Yeah.
Caricature.
Yeah. The dog you hear in the background, people that listen to my show, our show, and on Saturdays at 1 o'clock.
He's a co-host.
That's Mr. Bubbles. That's our co-host, Mr. Bubbles.
If everybody, even on live TV, when they have people talking, you can see their little kids running in the background or the pet running through. So we're all talking about that. That's the 21st century now, huh?
Yeah, that is 21st century. Okay. And one thing with you, Sam, we can't shut them up because we just shut up. Okay. We said shut up, but we didn't try to launch it. We were on there. Oh, that's just my dog. But something, Shane, with your family, having a history they had, and my family has a history of Indians also. I'm not too saying that. I feel somewhat violated about the chop, and the internet stuff. But then the Kansas making that effort, and now that the name, but some they haven't put out to the world why that name is about why they were named the Chiefs. I think first they should publicize more.
Yeah, they probably need to talk a little bit more and work with the tribal community and have those discussions. I think it needs to be discussed and talked about. And you have 70,000 people in the city. I don't know how you're going to change all those people. You're not going to be able to change their behavior, but they could make different movements. Instead of a chop like a tomahawk, they could do something else, sway back and forth with their hand. They could steal and make their loud, because it's a louder stadium and they have songs that they use. So it's probably going to be a process, but I don't really think they're going to ever change the name Chief, because Chief could be, it doesn't have to be a negative. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a negative connotation. Now, I understand Redskins. Oh yeah, I can understand Cleveland Indians. Yeah. But Chiefs could be a whole kind of other stuff. They could remarket it, rebrand it, make some behavioral changes inside the stadium. What's required? What can you do?
Honestly, I think they need to start talking to like the local Native American groups, because in Kansas, right, not too far from Kansas City, Missouri, there's a university called Haskell University.
Yeah, Haskell. Yeah, and they could talk about it and have them perform more. I think in the Super Bowl they had a performance, a beautiful performance. Have that incorporated, have them included, and see if they can come into a positive conclusion with this. Because I understand about stereotypes, because I see stuff, people doing blackface and saying crazy stuff. I'm not feeling that, and I'm gonna check that. But it's a process. It's a learning process, and we need to make sure all voices are heard and included and loved.
Shannon, you just brought up Haskell University, okay? When I was in college, we used to have a track meet down there called the Haskell Relays. Do they still have that? Because I remember I was in junior college, we ran on the Fort Valley here in St. Louis, and we were invited down there to Haskell, and I do remember, myself, going to the college. Nice little campus also, by the way.
I'm not too sure if they still have that. I wouldn't doubt it, though.
I wouldn't doubt it, though, because it was something that was very much like the prelude to the Kansas Relays back in those days. That's what a sports fan. Well, let me say this, okay. Right now, let's talk about UMA, United Minority Media Association. And that was the organization, one of the things that helped create this program today. Years ago, it was created by one of the founders of the United Minority Media Association, a gentleman by the name of M.C. Richardson. And also, he had been this way. This show is named Just Come to Kansas City. It's been incorporated for many, many years ago. And this is not just the first time on FirstUniversityOutdoorRadio.com, but it can be part of our legacy at our station now, because Mr. Richardson, the United Minority Media Association, has done so much in the city of Kansas City. And if you so kind, tell us a little bit about something you're familiar with the United Minority Media Association that's done in the city of Kansas City.
First of all, MC Richardson has been just totally fabulous in running UMA for how many years now? What is that? 49.
49.
49 years, and that's an amazing feat to be able to do that. And he gathered people, a lot of people in media. They all came together. They talked about issues, concerns, what to do, what not to do, and how to address the media, how to work with the media and get those stories out there. And originally, before he started, my father, Carl Price Sr., was his mentor. And as he was mentor of also Horace Peterson of the Black Archives, he definitely was inspiring the next generation, which that's what we believe in. You put that into them, and then you let them run and let them go do it. But he was there, definitely instrumental in their journey and what they chose to do, Black Archives and UMA. And
can you tell us a bit more about your father, Mr. Price?
Okay, my father, he was one of the, what do you call, that group of original black DJs. So he was in Topeka, Kansas. He was originally born in Wichita. And they moved to Topeka. My grandfather was the first black dentist of Kansas, and he was, part of a think tank. You know how they talked about the Black Wall Street in Oklahoma? Well, they had a similar one in Topeka during that time. So you had black dentists, doctors, architects, engineers, and there was an area of 4th Street. So that's all where they were. And my grandfather was a friend of Langston Hughes. He was a personal family friend. Hattie McDaniels was. And we had a house in Topeka that was like listed on Green Book. And so all the celebrities that would come in.
No, tell people about Green Book. We just come here, show. This is Black History Month. Tell us about Green Book. Tell us what the Green Book was.
Green Book was a book that had been created that showed places as you traveled across the country, safe spaces for black people, because everywhere you went was not conducive.
There was no hotel. There was no hotel.
Yeah, no hotel. There was nothing.
No restaurant.
Nothing.
People had shoe boxes and all. I recall having a shoe box in the car when you travel. Everybody had a shoe box.
That's right. You put your food in there because there was no place to stop and eat. And you'd have
no McDonald's, no McDonald's, no McDonald's.
No McDonald's, no public bathrooms that you could use.
No have a bathroom, none of that.
Nothing. There was nothing. You pull over to the side of an area. You find you some bushes. That's real talk.
No, I've been there before. No. This, no, and somebody look out for you. Okay, you okay?
And to believe, and believe it or not, even today we have places that are sundown towns that still exist. Because with my TV show, we travel all across the country, and we have to map it out. Before we go, we know that we can't stop everywhere. Still today in 2023. So we, we're familiar with the different areas. We know not to stop in this town. We know not to go to that gas station. That still exists today. But
wow.
Like I was saying, today, because I'm a traveler, So I tell people it's just not, still to this day, not safe. So always, be aware and know, try to stay safe, as you go. My grandpa.
I know being a part of the Green Book, part of being a family that was in the Green Book as a safe haven. That's I'm like being a safe part of the Underground Railroad. So many people coming from the north, south to the north. But to have a Green Book was something like, again, now that, okay, blacks, you got a car now, and you want to go someplace, and you want to be safe.
Yeah.
And this is how you be safe.
Because you want to live for another day. You want to be,
you want to fit
you want to see your family.
You want to fit your trip.
So we had our house in Topeka, Kansas, and so people like Frankie Lyman stayed there. Wilt Chamberlain stayed at our house. Wow. There was Ruth Brown. Ruth Brown was the R&B queen of that time before Aretha Franklin, before, the day Mary J. Blige kind of holds that spot. But before Aretha, there was Ruth Brown. They said that's the house that Ruth built for Atlantic Records. So she stayed at our house all the time. So it was a lot of celebrities, Harlem Globetrotters. Anybody came through Topeka and they didn't want to stay in the places sometimes that they had for black people to stay was on that other side of town where there might be prostitution or there may be, good time stuff. And so if they didn't want to stay in those areas or whatever, they come to our house and stay. So that was part of our history. My dad was one of the original black DJs, so he knew all the celebrities as well. And he was, how we have the Billboard magazine and the Rolling Stone magazine.
100,
top 10. So he was the guy who did all the writing for whoever was popular at that time. He would put in the trade. That was their trade magazine, so he wrote for those. So it's totally an entertainment and MC, and he was an MC, and I guess he was kind of like rapping back then in the 50s.
What he did, because what happened, in those days, the records were like 2 or 3 minutes long. 3 minutes was a long record. And and he's doing an hour show or a couple hour show. He do a lot of talking.
A lot of talking. My daddy could talk, but he was really brilliant. He was in politics. His dad was in politics big time, and they made sure that the black vote was, they got black people out to vote. So they were very political. And all kind. And Cheyenne, didn't you find where Dad had ran for something in Kansas City, Missouri?
Yes, he ran for, I think it was councilman.
Okay.
And it was amazing. He got over 10,000 votes, even though he didn't try.
He didn't really try in campaign. He did his own marketing, put it out there, and he actually got 10,000 votes. And you know what? In our little communities now, people don't even get there.
No. 10,000 votes okay for a black man, is really a large number because, in those days, a councilman, that title is not used a lot now. Now they have to like the commitment, but that was the person who was responsible for getting the votes out in the community. And so, so that would mean that a councilman. He's the person that everybody went to. If you need help at City Hall, you go to the council.
Right.
And he have a relationship downtown. If you need to have a water problem, you have a problem with the sewers, you have a problem with the trees, something not delivering your services, go to the council.
Yeah.
You go downtown, and make it happen.
That's how it used to be.
Yeah, that's how you can't use some of my sundown towns. I remember years ago, and this happened when I was an adult. Okay, I went to Indianapolis. That's not true. To the Kentucky Derby one time. Down in Louisville. And when I got down there, I just was amazed. I didn't talk to it at that time, but that town, all the blacks of that town, and they put together a network together. And if you wanted dinner, someone cooked dinner all day long. If you wanted lunch all day long, or you had breakfast all day long, and all the blacks got there, and they had all the things that you would need, okay, but you go there. And this was back in the 80s, back when this was taking place.
Wow.
In the late 70s, but in Louisville, Kentucky, for the Kentucky Derby. And I didn't get that point. I didn't get on top of I was his brother at that time. And I didn't get no thought to that being a sundown town. I'm just talking about that.
And there's a map now that you can look for sundown towns in it all across the country. Isn't that something? That should not exist today, but unfortunately, it is, and I think it's a little bit more extreme now. It's gotten a little crazy, and I'm hoping that everybody can calm down. We can get back to being a little bit more civil to one another. That's my hope and wish, because I want the next generation not to have to go through this.
One of my favorite sayings to say, and it came out during the killings of the young man down in Mississippi with Rodney King. Said, "Can we just get along?"
Yeah,
Because that really we need to do, and we just get along with each other.
And that's something. And here we are. I mean, when was that? 90 something. He was.
Well, that was a generation ago. Yeah.
Right, and here you got these black police officers doing the same thing in Memphis right now, and they just was pleading not guilty. Even though we had video, we saw them, just like we saw Rodney King getting beat. You saw this young man get beat like that by black officers because they are blue,
Before our very eyes, okay, that they all stood up.
Yeah.
And we saw it. And another thing that one of the things that got me good was that when Al Sharpton did the eulogy, he referenced the late Dr. Walter King that he was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. This is during the time, okay, that he was marching for rights, for workers there.
Yeah.
Like the police department, the fire department. For them to work in the traffic department, the bus drivers. And then see, less than 10 miles from where it took place, that this young man was killed by black police officers. But what it does, it just shows you, okay, that all you can't blame the white community for all of our woes, okay? This is clearly, something that, and for them to get up, yes, it's not guilty.
Yeah, they got up there and said that, but they're still entwined into the system that we often talk about, and in the police situation, you don't realize how it was created, during slavery, a slave patrol. And they still have their fundamental infrastructure like that. So they're gonna have to, they're gonna have to deconstruct it and rebuild it, because we do need police officers. We need them, to protect and serve, but we don't need them to kill and beat us to death. Unarmed and for a traffic stop. That is scary. That is really scary that you could die at a traffic stop. And got to be a lot of work done. A lot of work.
But Candy, you as a female, and I'm quite sure you heard your brothers told this. I as a black man was always told that we had a conversation with us with the young men when you come, if you see a police officer, okay, make sure you don't talk back, but you shouldn't talk back to the police officer anyway.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Make sure that make sure that you put your hands on the steering wheel.
Right.
Make sure you don't make any quick moves or anything. Make sure there were certain things we were told, and but today, okay, and to still have that backpack here. Just yesterday in St. Louis, we had a police officer that raped a woman, and he was he walked free because in the eyes of most people, and in the law nowadays, the police officers are not held responsible. Now we saw this young man beat to death. And those officers were not held responsible. But they will be sued, okay? Now that they're individuals now, they will be sued. But because they were a police officer, they were immune to lawsuits. And I think that's one of the things that was in the George Floyd Police Act, that when the police officer, like anybody else, okay, you will be responsible for your actions.
That's correct. Shouldn't everybody be held accountable for their action? Everybody should be, and everybody will be held accountable on that next level, whether they believe that or not. But at some point, you're going to be held accountable, and you got to stand before something somewhere. So they just have so much work to do. And I'm hoping that we can, like when we came to Ferguson after the Michael Brown incident, and we did our fishing derby there. That was such a heavy thing coming in there.
Well, and I want to thank you so much. I want to thank you on behalf of the New Mexico Congress, who you are a member of, by the way. And I thank you and Wayne and Carl and you all came down. And I do remember the first one we did. Okay, it was people. But people not aware. Your organization gives tell me about the fishing derby first off. How that came about.
Well, I believe in 2005, we, Urban American Outdoors, created the Urban Kids Fishing Derby, and it's a traveling fishing aquatic education piece that we take across the country. It's a program that we created where we take children from the urban core and give them a day in nature with fishing and aquatic education, and everything that they catch they can keep and take home, and it's multicultural, multi-generational. And we created it originally because, like I said, we have the TV show, and we're going across the country, we're filming it and going all these beautiful places, but every place I went, we noticed that we didn't see our children involved or welcome. Really probably weren't welcome. They welcomed us because we had a TV show, we had a camera, we were giving them good press, blah, blah, blah. But I saw that there was something missing. So we came back home and we created the Derby. And it was word of mouth first. We threw out flyers, Carl, great ground promotions. And we had our poles there for them. We stocked, we brought bait, water, food. Gates provided our food, Gates Barbecue in Kansas City, and they sponsored the food, and we had a good time. Past out, we had about 300-400 kids, and their parents, and I'm like, wow. And what have we put it on social media, and then other people's like, oh, can you do that here? Because in the urban core communities, they're under resourced. You can't get anything. I have people come to me say they don't do anything for us. And I'm like, well, you know what? Maybe we have to do for us. Because they're going to take your tax dollars though, and they're going to take and the tax dollars that you provide are never used in your own community, because a lot of people are like, well, they don't pay taxes, they don't work. All of the people in our community worked. They had jobs everywhere, and they came back and they paid taxes, but they didn't have enough money because you get paid less than everybody else, deliberately. And you get taxed higher, and then you would have food debts, you would have grocery stores. So there's a lot of things, a lot of neglect that takes place. So we said we're going to do something. We did the Derby, and to this day, we've been doing them all across the country: Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas, Ferguson, Missouri, Atlanta, Georgia, L.A., Portland, Oregon, Milwaukee, Washington, D.C., and a few other places. So we get people from everywhere asking us, can you bring that event? And it's not just a fishing derby. It is an experience. It's healing. It's like a family reunion. It's a lot of love. And like I said, it's like you see everybody is welcome. Well, I don't turn anybody.
I know in St. Louis here that the first one he did, okay, now, and for you not aware, in St. Louis, Missouri, in Ferguson, Missouri, we had the Michael Round Riots, that's what you have to call them. And they have a beautiful lake called January Wombat Spot. You know, it's a beautiful lake in Ferguson, Missouri. And it's a circle, like a lake, it's a pond, something, you know, it's surrounded by water. And so this is it's a nice walking path. And so when we came in, when Candy and them came in, my goal personally, okay, was to have them here first of all, okay. And Ferguson, Missouri received us very well. The mayor at that time, Mayor Knowles, and he did everything for us. They turned out, you know, the performers there came with us and stuff. And also, matter of fact, the future mayor, the mayor of Ellis Jones, you know, she was there as a committee woman at that time, you know, and Congressman Bill Clay was there, okay, with his staff and stuff. It was the first one. It was well attended, you know, and the kids, you know, I know you can. When the little kids put those little poles in the water, they broke holes in the water. First of all, you had to go through the process of trying to get them put the baits on the hook first, okay. There was but once it got beyond that, okay, and they threw their hook out in the water, okay, and all of a sudden that little bob went down to a bob, and they know what to do. After you and Wayne is out there with teaching, tell them how that go.
Oh, it's fabulous because, like you said, sometimes there's some resistance. The kids like, I don't want to touch the water, blah blah blah. Oh no, and all that. But after they do it and they catch that first fish, they are hooked. It's like magic. It's like, oh my God, my first fish. And then their friends start doing it. It just kind of spreads around. The little kids start competing because, you know, they're like, oh, you did, I know I could do it. And it breaks it.
Right.
Cheyenne was always there. She grew up doing that. She was one of our ambassadors for that. Cheyenne, how was it when you caught your first fish? Can you remember that?
Yeah, I think I can remember when I caught my first fish because I've been fishing
forever. She's a pro. She could actually go pro. She was so good, so natural at it. You know, she was way better than me. I was like struggling or whatever. But, you know, Wayne's an angler and Cheyenne, they both are really good. So, Cheyenne, tell them what happened.
Yeah, the first time I caught my first fish by myself, I was 6 years old in a little, it was at Spring Valley Park. I didn't know what I was doing, but I remember the excitement of me just catching my first fish by myself. And it was, I threw the pole, and it went in. The fish grabbed it immediately. I was like, "Oh my goodness!" I didn't know what. I froze up, but I started reeling it in. I got my first fish.
Yeah.
And everyone's watching like, oh, yeah.
Everybody starts screaming and cheering each other on. It's such a wonderful event. And it's just, you know, it makes you feel good seeing these kids doing something, building a skill. They have patience that come from that, the mental health. I mean, you're in nature, fresh air. You're with people around you doing the same thing, and the love is there. And that's why, you know, we encourage, you know, more people to join in with us, be part of what we're doing, and help more of our kids. A lot of our kids have, you know, since we started in 2005, a lot of them have, you know, they've grown up, and some of them have had their own children, and they are bringing them. So it is something that is groundbreaking.
But again, here, okay, one of the biggest surprises, okay, was at the end of the day, okay, when the broke out the biggest fish, won $100. Tell us about that. Tell us about that. That was just amazing, okay, that everybody was counting, okay, when Wayne, you know, the young man who won, had the biggest fish, okay, y'all called him up there, and all of a sudden, you know, he looked through his keeper street, right? But Wayne gave him first $20 bill, okay, he got his attention.
Man, he started counting. He goes 20, 40, everybody counting 68. What? And everybody screaming. A little boy was like, "Oh my God, he just made him some money." You know,
but guess what? The dad said, "Boy, give me that money."
Little boy, I'm sure that baby boy got his money back later when he got home. Daddy thought, because Mama probably said, he earned that, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He came back the next year, too, by the way.
Yes, he did, yeah. And so they love it. So we're going to come back this year. We want everybody to know. We're going to do it in Kansas City, Missouri. We always do it a Father's Day weekend in Kansas City, Missouri, which is Juneteenth weekend. So I have been always incorporated Father's Day and Juneteenth way before the government gave it as a holiday. I always did Juneteenth. You know, we've been in Kansas City. I think we've probably been doing Juneteenth for 30 years, so it wasn't nothing new there. But I incorporated with my fishing derby, so people come out, and then later in Kansas City, I think from noon until the end of the day, they have the Juneteenth down on 18th and Vine or whatever. But we start out that morning with me, with me and my.
Let me ask you a question, Candy. And and they probably haven't been asked you before. Okay, how does it feel for you? Said this is my fishing derby. How does it make you feel as a black female? And this is mine.
Well, originally, the funny thing is that I really didn't think about it much. I'm the type, I just do the work and I get it done.
I know.
And I didn't think about, I didn't think about the fanfare or the fame or anything like that. I was doing the work, but I'm telling you, when the pandemic came and we were not able to do it, that's when I started thinking about it. And I started looking back and I'm like, wow, we did all this work, because you look back. And like, how did I get all that done? Because now we're at a standstill. We're just sitting there. We never have sat. From the moment we started doing the show in 1998, when we first started planning in 2003, the show actually aired across the country. We were syndicated, and we've been on weekly ever since 2003. And I trust there's not many shows that can say that, but we have done that.
Not meaning black show. Not meaning black.
Oh, definitely not a black show, and not one that's produced by a black woman. So I know that those are stats that haven't probably even been talked about by anybody really, and hosted by a black man, an outdoor lifestyle TV show. In fact, when we first started, people was saying, black people don't do that. They don't hunt. They don't fish. They don't do camping. Or I said, yeah, we do. Always have. We just didn't do it over there where you guys were. But we've always been in those spaces. So, and even black people were saying that. It wasn't just coming from our, the white audience. It's coming from the black audience as well. Well, that's what white people do. And I'm like, no, that's what all people are, all human. And that's what we all do. You just weren't familiar with it. I said, how do you think you used to eat, before there was grocery stores and all that? Your grandfathers and great-grandfathers, they went out there and they would harvest, they would get venison, deer, they would get rabbit, some would do squirrel, some would do, whatever, they would fish, and those were for food. It wasn't for trophy, it was for sustenance. And so here we have now, and it might get back to that with the rate of how high everything is. And grow your own food. We always encourage to grow your own food. So now there's movements of people, talking about, I want a garden, I'm going to get a garden.
NASDAQ came in Congress right now. NASDAQ came in Congress. We advocating that right now because you not have food deals. But Ken, I was about to say something that when you started the fishing there, okay, years ago in the history, right now history never beats itself. But there was a time that when all Indians, who was here first, they took their kids and put them in the colleges, and they wanted to forget about the language that they spoke of and talk about what they did. And so that's why, again, a lot of people, those Indian things that were this, Indians were always fishing here, when Columbus got here. That's how they fed them. They didn't have food. They were surprised. Oh, this how you do this. But that goes back to biblical stuff. They had a garden. That's how they got fed.
Yeah, it was organized land management Native Americans were first land managers, and they did all of that, and they have generational knowledge on how to, and the good thing that's taking place, because we have our Secretary of Interior is Deb Haaland. She's Native American, and so they're making a lot of changes. Yes, and so there's government to government discussions and collaborations on everything now, so that's the good thing in getting some of that love that they needed to. So they were the first land managers, and then we also enslaved people, tilled the land and did all of that, and we have generational knowledge of how to do different things and why you do this and what to grow, when to grow. You had George Washington Carver. He saved the country, because they were abusing the land. And once again, corporate farms are probably abusing the land right now, but they're going to have to get back to how to, because our soil's pretty polluted, and we got to have that. So it's so many different things. And the thing with Cheyenne, she has worked with us the entire time. She is, she knows all of this stuff. She could run the company right now, to be honest, because she's been there from the beginning.
Well, right now, people not aware. Okay, listen, that's Candace Price Hubbard, and this is Cheyenne Hubbard. The next couple of weeks, okay, when Miss Richardson is on assignment, she's going to be hosting this program along with me every Saturday. When we get a chance to talk about the MC Get Back. Because one of the things that MC did was taught people in Kansas City the understanding of how powerful media was in controlling their lives. And that's why in Kansas City, yourself, Ken, you was raised as an entertainer because your father, you was a singer that traveled the world like Stevie Wonder and all the Motown people like that. And so right now, Cheyenne is a natural entertainer herself, especially with her father being an entertainer and stuff. So she's been on my show, our show, for many years now, a couple of years now. I guess it was up until the election and commerce every third Saturday. We talk about the degeneration. So right now, he's prepared now to host this show and have her guests lined up, come in and talk about what's going on in Kansas City with the young people there. And so,
well, I'm gonna be honest. She keeps me abreast of a lot of things, because we go up and do policy on the Hill in D.C. But I always confer with Cheyenne. This is real talk. She is very savvy, and she sees and she knows her generation. They're Gen. What's your Gen Z? So they have a different outlook than we do, and there's certain things that they're not going to take that we think we're going to get over. We have these new elections coming up, but if those kids come out and vote, it's going to be a whole nother different from what they did the
last election. They came up for the first time, and also Cheyenne, you need to correct me here. Cheyenne, my mother just told you that she keeps her abreast of what goes on. Cheyenne also is a genealogist, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yes, she has her own business now, by the way. Now, if you're not aware, if you want to learn about your history, who was who, the grandfather, the great-grandfather, the great-great-grandfather. Well, Cheyenne is the person that you can call, and she will show you how. Now, she will show you how to do it, okay, or she will do it for you. When you have a family reunion, I'm coming up, okay, a parents reunion, something about your school, you want to know the history of what it was that they did. Well, Shannon, tell us about your business.
Well, one of the things I do is help people find where their family is, how they got to the area that they are now, and their family history, because it is so important to know where you came from. Mm-hmm. And so I take basically their grandparents' names and research all about them and find who their grandparents are, and go as far as I can. And you can find my information at connectedtrees.com.
We got to say it 3 times. You got Come on, 2 more times.
connectedtrees.com. And it's one last time, connectedtrees.com.
Thank you.
And I would tell people, get your tissues ready. If at the this is the kind of effect it's going to have on you. You're going to have some tears up in there, and tears of joy. And then some of us like, oh, really? My family was that messy? No wonder they didn't talk about that. So all of it's going to come out because she didn't mind, because I hit a brick wall. I could not find, and I did genealogy, I thought, but I couldn't do it. And I turned it over to her. She cracked it through. Oh, my God. And she got us all the way back to probably over there in Africa. She found my African family members, and she found our white family members as well. Mm-hmm. And some of my white family members are still with the Confederacy. But the Africans, they live all over the world, but in Nigeria, wasn't it, Cheyenne, where you pinpointed the village? Mm-hmm. And the pinpointed
they were Igbo, which is so amazing. And they told us the villages that they came from. And the craziest thing, it's right next to a river. It all made sense after I saw it on the map.
Mm-hmm. And then what was the Couche's family down the way?
Yeah, there was another cousin that I found from Africa, and they were from this little country called Guinea. And turns out that's the area that he was from was the same area that Kunta Kinte family was taken from.
Wow.
Isn't that something? And so it's amazing. And then she found, the Irish side, and some of them are in castles over there, some of the royalty or whatever.
Oh,
yeah, so I mean, that's what you're going to find. And then, so she also found some of the white cousins didn't know that they had black in them. So it's really amazing, that means somebody was passing along the way. So it's, America is messy and beautiful. I just love it. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, right now, we listen to Candace Hubbard Price, Candace Price, and her husband, Wayne Hubbard, created Urban American Outdoors, which has been in syndication for over 20 years, and celebrating their 25th anniversary. Congratulations on that also, Candace.
Yeah. Yes, we'll be doing that in August, and we want everybody to come out. So we'll have more information about it as we plan, get the plans in order. But it will be our 25th anniversary. People from all across the country will be coming in, and we're going to party.
Okay, and this today is Champagne, Cheyenne, okay? Mm-hmm. Her first show that she's hosting her show, and she listens to the tape. She said, "You guys talk too much." But today, getting the time of the clock, and the better way the clock is changing. You have to watch. Scott didn't give us our 5-minute, either 10-minute call, but I'm looking at the clock and coming up on that hour. That waits for nobody. And we're getting to the end of the show. My name is Alan Folks, and listen to me, Cheyenne Harbor. And every Saturday, until Miss Richardson gets back from assignment, we're waiting, looking and praying for him also. But today's show is our first show that she's hosting. And guess what? She got a mother for her first guest.
Yeah, it was lovely. Thank you, Cheyenne, for inviting me. You're welcome.
And Cheyenne, and I thank you also for helping me get through this myself today. And I want to thank Scott Owens, our general manager, and our president on the station, for also helping us out on the explaining about the Philadelphia Eagles and football that we didn't understand. Nothing personal. But here, first I'm going to say, I thought we're all family here, and Sharon is definitely a part of our family along with Candy. So then, my name is Aaron Folks. Until next time, just for coming to Kansas City. Talk to you again next week, Sharon. You want to sound us off?
Thank you for listening. This is Cheyenne Hubbard.
I love it. Bye.